Good evening and welcome to FMA discussion. This is episode 400. Who would have known? Not me, certainly 3 years ago. But anyway, tonight's a subject matter that's near and dear to me, and co-hosting with me is going to be Dr. Tim because he also feels the same way about this subject as far as I do, and that is if we don't get the youth involved, we are going to see systems collapse. It's already starting to happen. The numbers are starting to dwindle with some systems, and that's because they don't get youth involved. You heard me numerous times mention Lamego, lack of a better example. I'm sure there's others that are just barely hanging on, might have a head figure, maybe a few students here and there, but nothing far as being really perpetuated in that. And with me again, as I mentioned, is Datu. He has runs a fantastic school, and he is breeding basically a farm team. And think about this, folks. The old saying is that one out of 100 students become a black belt. Well, take that statistic, whether it's around that number or not. Now apply that to FMA. So how many kids you think you need in a farm program or a youth program that will actually become a guru and actually will teach in there? Far less, in my opinion, than somebody doing a traditional martial arts such as karate and that. So this is stuff we're going to talk about tonight. And so before I bring my guest up, we're doing kind of a split show just so the guests get equal time to talk. So the first is going to be Chris Chiu, son of GM Bruce Chiu, and Christian Snider, a new guy that we're gonna have on here. Then at 9:10, we're bringing on Noah and Jacob. So without further ado, Tim, anything you want to add to my opening statement?
I do want to I want to address something that was said on the pre-show.
Sure.
So
I'll bring these guys up while you're going.
Yeah. So and I want them part of this so they can ask a question. Oh, there we go. So a comment was brought up on the pre-show, and you started about getting the F out of FMA. And I think people got it wrong. So, like anything, if a student gets something wrong, it's not the student, it's the instructor. So in my case, I may not have been clear when I've said this in the past, and I just want to clarify. When I say get the F out of FMA, it was during a podcast. Someone chimed in. I talked about Filipino schools, and someone's comment, who's a Filipino martial artist, and most actually all three of you know who he is, makes a comment saying, well, there aren't schools because it's Filipino. So my position is, if we use the F word, the Filipino word, as a crutch to fail, then we're not going to succeed. My mindset isn't that I don't promote Filipino martial arts. Matter of fact, Dean, personally, I'm probably one of the biggest proponents of promoting Filipino martial arts. Tuhan Jack Latour has given me a lot of credit for this. We got you involved in a bunch of things. I don't know of anyone system or seminar and camp wise that has hosted more Filipino martial artists than I have. I'm giving people from other systems exposure because my mindset is a rising tide raises all ships. So we're stronger together than separate. My comment about get the F out is using it as a crutch for failure. When someone comes into my school, I tell them about my martial arts school, and they say, well, what do you teach? Well, I do Filipino martial arts. I go, it's like karate or taekwondo, but we do punching and kicking like in taekwondo, but we also do wrist locks, throws, weapon defenses. We're very street defense oriented. I tell people from the beginning that it's Filipino. It's just that I don't use that as a crutch for failure. Matter of fact, for the kids, we do a little die that you roll out, and it has home chores on it. And then if they get a free day or a game day, they have to get an answer right. So say, what country does our martial art comes from? For the Philippines. What kind of karate do we do? And the answer should be, we don't do karate. So then I get them on that. And I say, well, what do? We do modern arnis, prasis arnis, Filipino martial arts, something like that. So I don't say that my mindset is not that we shouldn't promote Filipino martial arts. I am huge in it. And if you've seen the graphics on my window, there's a stick fighter there. We've had the Filipino flag in the past. We've done all this stuff. It's just that when people use that as a crutch, we can't have schools. All right. And some of the people who were talking, which all three of you know, has a karate school and teaches their FMA as a secondary or tertiary art. And if they had faith in their system, they would teach it as their primary art. But in this particular case, I know that their weapon system has no open hand combatives. So if you don't have it, you need to go out and seek it, because we know people make up their arts left and right and center, and you interview all those people. But I don't want anyone to think that I don't embrace our Filipino culture. I promote the hell out of it. It's just that I don't use it as a crutch for failure. Oh, well, it's a Filipino martial arts school. So, of course, no, it's a martial arts school. And if it fails, it's because I'm not good at promoting the school. And that was just, there's my mini rant. That's all I wanted to say. Because you kind of misquoted me a little, and that's probably because I wasn't clear enough in the past.
Yeah, and apologies. I found it interesting, and as well as Chris did too. And so, with that being said, Chris, I'm a big fan of yours. What you're doing. You're getting out there, and you're meeting with different people. You're going there. I love watching what you're doing. And nothing on Christian. I'm just getting to know you. You could be doing the same thing. But this is going to be a question for both of you. What is your guys' lens on this problem that we're talking about tonight? And the reason why I want to get your guys' feedback on this, is it as serious as I think it could be coming decade, 2 decades? Are you guys seeing a different picture? So let's start with you, Chris, and then we'll get Christian's take on it. Chris.
I have a question before we get into that. So just for the sake of everything, what is the problem? Is the problem that we're seeing arts die off? Is that the lens we're trying?
Just that I just think we're not collectively. There's a few pockets that are really having a kids program and getting youth involved to propagate these arts. So we have a lineage per se. However, few and far between. The majority are not doing that. Therefore, there'll be systems that are going to die out. Are you guys at your age? So the question is, are you seeing that as well? Or what is your lens on this?
I think try to view this. I said it kind of before we can try to expand to grow and to a level that is of Taekwondo or BJJ, where it has a massive program. We must first introduce people to the arts. I don't think enough people know about us. Like a friend of mine, a very good friend of mine, is also a Filipino martial arts. He wanted to start a school for a brief moment, and we were going to have a kids program. And I was like, great. The problem is he also wanted to do some other things that I would be like, listen, as someone who's worked in a commercial dojo for a number of years, and as someone who's gotten advice from business owners, from dojo owners, you have to be very, because little Susie and her mom are not going to she's not going to sign her up if she's two guys decapitating each other with compilans as a mural. It's not going to fly, at least in this day and age, because they don't understand it. They don't understand the difference between the Filipino arts versus the other arts. Not that every
fair, okay,
all are, but the Filipino arts, in my humble opinion, are some of the more scarier combative. It doesn't make sense to the Joe Blow average guy because they don't know the difference. They don't know what Filipino martial arts is. To them, it's just another Asian art. But as everyone in here can attest, there are so many differences between our art and, it's be introducing the arts more. That's the start to expansion. You can't expand it if no one knows what it is yet, which is where I think that in social media, like you said, is our biggest asset. Buddy Eric McGee of Orlando Eskrima, his Instagram account has over 100,000 followers. 8,000. We're propagating, I might be using that word incorrectly, give me on that one. We are exposing people to the art as an introduction to, hey, this is something we do. The interest. Then we can explain and expand and hopefully build that expansion that we're trying. My current lens, honestly, and I think I said this to you, Dean, a long time ago. my whole goal of starting what I was get my dad's name out there. And Dr. Tim and I remember we had dinner. People didn't know who my dad was, and that's a shame. Dad's one of the OGs. He's been around a long time, but people didn't. So I wanted to build that and expand his name. How'd that start with? I had to him, and then I was able to expand on him. Same with this stuff. I have to introduce people to the modern Arnis, then I can expand upon it. With that,
yeah, you're cutting out a bit. That's what folks are
Quite a bit.
hearing. Okay, just see what you could do. So, Christian, same question to you. Like, are you seeing this, or if you are, what's your lens on this? What I believe is a current issue.
So yeah, I'm seeing it. I mean, I've only been studying modern artists and Filipino martial arts really for about 3.5 years now, but it's definitely from what I can see is a lot of the Filipino martial arts that I've seen it are at least older people in it, and that's gonna make it just harder in general. I mean, kind of along what Chris said, it is about exposure and how much they know and what they see. But at the same time, if it's not, I don't know, if it's not the younger generation, it is going to die out, but it's got to be passed along. Or, I mean, because by now, a lot of the people who founded these arts are either already passed away or they're really up there in age. And if people didn't follow along or study close enough or well enough with them, or they just weren't as passionate about it to pass, or that wasn't their goal, then it's just going to be really hard to keep up. And they're not saying everybody who takes it is going to pass on the art, but I don't know. I see that pattern, but if we do utilize social media and what we have at our means, we can get that out there and keep it going. That's definitely kind of along the lines of, again, what Chris said. He was trying to carry on what his father did, but I'm really kind of just study as much as I can, figure out as much as I can. I mean, understand it the best of my knowledge and pass it on.
So I just got a quick second question for you, and then we're going to get to see Dr. chime in. How did you get involved, Christian?
I studied Ishinryu karate for about 8 years formally, and I had already started modern arnis before I stopped taking karate. But my sensei in karate it was a small school. It wasn't anything crazy or flashy. I started taking karate when I was like 14 for self-defense reasons. But I kind of led over to the Filipino martial arts side of things because I had seen it in like superhero shows, stuff like that, Nightwing, Daredevil, but I really had, so I had an interest in it. And then one of my friends, he said his brother and father do modern artists at this school in Raleigh. So that was when I checked it out, and I was like, yo, this stuff is awesome. That's when I got hooked on it.
Okay. All right. Datu, anything you want to chime in regarding this?
Well, okay. So let's so I'm trying to figure out a good way to say this. It's good that we get the exposure. Okay. Unfortunately, when you would look at social media, there's no way to tell where that exposure is. Because so Orlando Eskrima has 100,000 plus viewers, right?
Pretty active on Instagram, yeah.
And the next question, so they have 103,000 followers, 1,584 posts, which is badass. I mean, hell, I wish I had that. But here's my question: what does that translate in students?
Chris, you might know that, Chris, because you're kind of affiliated with them, aren't you?
Yep. You were Eric's very. To answer the question of how.
Oh, this audio sucks.
Yeah, you're breaking up a bit.
Oh, is better?
Keep going.
Is better? Hello.
Yeah, that's better. That's better.
I guess you guys would really close to the microphone, speak a lot slower, if that helps.
No, so far so good. Yeah.
And you were Eric's great friend of mine, one who kind of gave me my first class teaching. So, very good, dear friend of mine. As to how does that translate to students, Dr. Tim? that's where I think the next lesson of how do we capitalize on the social media. I'm not saying that, social media is the answer. I'm just saying it's the first step to the solution. Because you're right. Having a social media presence means nothing if you're not producing students. It means absolutely nothing. It is getting exposure, which is great. But is it building a legacy? That's a great little segue into that idea, because there are people who up on social media that are not like, it's just exposure. But you have to get exposure, then you can work on the building of the legacy, in my opinion. So as to how they're doing it, I don't know. I will not try to speak for Eric. Oh, in our case, we try to build we try the exposure, and we get invited to seminars, we get invited to teach workshops, we get invited to X, Y, or Z. We have a representative in my country or in X country. So I think it's the starting of the. I'm not saying it's. I'd say.
Okay. Christian, question for you. You want to get your friends involved, people you know. What would you say to them to convey to them or to convince them like why they should do Filipino martial arts? Like what would you tell them?
That's a good question. I would. I mean, again, my friends are mostly on the younger side, obviously, but it's I to get them. I mean, into it. Like I've got a friend who did Taekwondo at a place like I think, and he took Taekwondo there for several years, black belt. I've shown him a little bit of stuff in it, but I think like it definitely helps to have, in my opinion, it helps to have a foundational art, something basic. I don't think it's required, but if I were trying to, if I had a friend who were interested, it piqued his interest or whatever, I would try to just explain it as what it is and what I love about it, the styles, the striking styles, the basics, the translations between like weapons and empty hand, those concepts.
Exactly.
And explained them.
Yeah, he would see your passion. Like he would see your passion exude when you're explaining this, how it's an all-encompassing art and ranges and
Yeah, everything comes back full circle in it. It's awesome.
Okay. Chris, same question to you. What would you tell, like, if you wanted to spread this to your friends, your peers, on around your age, what would you convey to them to get them hook, line, and sinker?
Do you want to become a badass with knives?
Would they say no, but maybe I would like to know that stick stuff.
Well, that's the thing. Like, yeah, my business major, if you want to get someone interested in your product, you have to offer them a service.
Okay.
If you try to sell someone on martial arts, why do they want to do it? Do they even know they want to do it? Let's say you're talking to someone who doesn't want to do martial arts. How are you going to sell them on the product? Mm-hmm. Well, they didn't want to do martial arts. Well, have you ever wanted to try getting in better shape? You ever trying to learn a new hobby? You ever want to skill?
Those are people.
The FMA community is one of the best, most friendly communities out there. That's one of the reasons we're all still in it. How badass we are. If we're all mean to each other, we wouldn't be around, would we? So
good point. No, good. Datu, how could, same question, from outside looking in, Datu, and your vast experience teaching kids and graduating kids, like what's your suggestion? What the youth, as far as what they can convey to their peers, like what to make it FMA attractive to them.
Okay. Well, first, we have to have a system that offers everything that is needed. Now, when I mean that, I want a standalone, a self-sufficient, not necessarily standalone. So I'm going to use my Balint walk, which I love very dearly. Professor Price has got me into it. I've been doing it for decades. Balintawak doesn't teach open hand combatives. So when someone's looking for martial arts in general, open hand combatives need to be part of that equation. Now, here's the question, because then I'll go like this. How many people doing FMA started in FMA? So that's a rhetorical question. Because everyone else started in something else. We already hit that up already. Chris is different. His father, so he learned martial arts from his father, and whatever he taught him. I mean, which would be a little of everything at first, probably. But the thing here is the norm, not the exception. And a lot of times we talk about the exception, not the norm. The norm, most Filipino martial artists, probably 95% or more, started in something else. We're getting leftovers. This is why we talk about when we had the show about schools, and I still don't think people are honest about that. There's a difference between being a professional martial artist and a school owner. Just because you are a personal trainer doesn't mean you need to own a gym to be a personal trainer. But Grandmaster Tabuada, professional martial artist, no question about that. He teaches out of his home. He does not. You need to know how to get a hold of him. There's no sign. You don't look him up on the internet. Well, I mean, you can now, but it wasn't back when you had the phone book and stuff like that. You didn't drive by and see a sign and go, "Hey, let's check this place out." It's in a residential area. So there's a lot of people who may be professional instructors, but still don't have a school. If we want a future, in addition to teaching kids, which is the key, and when I'm talking kids, I'm talking single digits. I'm not talking teens.
Oh yeah, it starts. Oh yeah, I'm with you. Yeah.
So the problem here is when you look at most FMA clubs, they're in their 30s or 40s or older. These guys will give shit up because they get married, they have kids, and work. It's great when you can teach teens, but what do? They start dating, they go to college, and they get work.
I know it's tough.
So as a rule now, I don't go as low, but I have 3-year-olds that start, kids that are 3-year-olds that have trained with us. And the thing here is this. I'm going to go back to talking about when people were going to offer a system. Chris was talking about someone that was talking to about pictures of Lapu-Lapu cutting each other's heads off. Okay, that's a decoration thing. The thing here is when you're building curriculum, and that's something that's needed, you need to have something to follow, whether it be modular, themed base, or belt by belt, whatever the case. I mean, that's what Professor did, and it worked. And everyone in the Philippines copied what he was doing because he was the first. And if you're doing, we do levels, it's the same thing as a belt. I do armbands, it's the same thing as a belt. I do a sash, it's a belt.
Right.
The thing here is, whatever way you choose to do, you make the program age appropriate. And part of it is, obviously you're not going to teach a 4-year-old to stab somebody in the eye socket and pull it out. That's at least 5 or 6 years old.
At least.
But the thing here is, part of it also is, wait for it, stuff that they can wrap their heads around. It's about teaching them. So when Shia was on my show, she's 12 now. At 11, she was the youngest modern East black belt that I know of, adult black belt. She took the test with everybody else. She started she was 3 years old.
Wow. She
would go to tournaments, and adult black belts were watching her as a color belt going, I want to be like that when I grow up. Now, the thing here is, she's not the norm. She's the exception. But I got to say, I probably have 5 to 10% of kids that come through like that. Ryan, who's teaching for me now, he's 19. He started with me when he was 3 years old, which I'm jealous because he started Modern Arnis when he was 3. He's 19 years old as a 3rd-degree black belt. I started as a white belt at 19 years old. These kids are going to be so much better than me if they stick with it.
I know, and that's what we want. We want them
exactly.
to be better. I mean, Chris, I look at you, Chris, with all these contacts. You grew up with this. I mean, have you considered, Chris, opening a school, a full-time FMA school, where you open up to all ages and a full gamut of modules, empty hand to stick? Have you?
My dream has always been to have my own, because ever since I left because my first job was teaching in a commercial Taekwondo school, and most fun job I've ever had in my life. Going to work, doing martial arts for 8 hours a day, going home, about forms, thinking about testings, thinking about how to prepare my students. It was some of the most fun I've ever had in my entire life, and I miss it dearly. As to what I love to start my own school, I'm torn. Part of me says yes, absolutely. Part of me is saying no, because I don't know. I've heard from multiple people that, I'm not going to lie. I listened to Dr. Tim. I listened to my dad. I listened to a lot of the old timers who did the seminar stuff. The seminar stuff sounds really cool to me. And I've always loved the idea of doing the seminar routes. Now, I also know that that's not as easy as it was back in the day because people have the internet. I would love to start my own school. I just know as of my current state of life, it's not impossible. It would just be really, really difficult, and I don't have the ability to do so yet.
Yeah, but the key word, yeah, and you could certainly still do the seminar. I mean, Doc's the perfect person to talk to. Look how many seminars he does annually, but yet he still runs a school. I think it's something you could do. You have, and reason why I'm mentioning you and discussing this with you is because all the people that you are in contact with, I mean, the people that you know, the seminars that you frequent, I mean, the contacts that you're making, the exploration of different arts that you're doing. I mean, to me, I look at you and I see a guy who should be doing this and setting the tone for his peers, and that. And so I hope it's something, you take in consideration. I hope you try to fulfill that goal if it is truly a goal of yours. You know what I mean? And then we got a question in. Okay, let's look at this. Okay, this is for both of you guys. So Christian, I'm gonna give you first crack. Do you it just disappeared. Another comment. All right, here we go from Justin. Okay. Do you find the younger generation to be more likely to spar and mix up with different groups versus older generation? We are continuing to build our group. We find it difficult to keep the young ages. What kept you guys interested in the FMA programs you are in? So, Christian, let's have you answer that first. So, this is a question from Justin.
All right. With the FMA stuff specifically, I'm honestly going to say it's been mostly a lot of like just the translations. I really enjoy double stick stuff, but that's partially because I love what it translates to empty hand and what it translates to single stick and the Crasada concept and the Paulus concepts. That's awesome. But even like when it was started like karate and I started getting up in the belt ranks and started sparring more, I love sparring and I did it. That was part of what kept me really engaged in. And I've done a little bit of stick sparring in the FMA, but I definitely think sparring would help keep the younger generation more engaged.
Interesting.
Not to say they shouldn't forms, but I mean, I think it's kind of like a lot of young guys like to watch UFC, MMA fights, whatever, stuff like that. But I think it's just too, it gives them that feeling and it lets them get that practice in for the adrenaline, the aggression, kind of like on the last episode you had with the Dog Brothers. They were talking about the aggression. Not that it necessarily has to go that hard all the time. I think it's okay to like that, but yeah. I think it's good. It gives them a little sense of pressure testing and feeling stuff out.
Yeah, confidence. Like, hey, man, I can block a shot coming at me. Man, yeah, I can. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think sparring should be introduced. I run a once a week kids stick program, and at the end of every class, they are moving around hitting each other with soft sticks. It's hardly. I just feel that's important. It gets, they are actually getting the range, the sensitivity of movement and engagement and
some pressure behind it.
Yeah, and they love it. They absolutely love it. Chris, same question from you from Justin.
Sorry, I'm reading the question again.
That's okay. I can mention it if you need me to.
The part of, do you find the younger generation to be more likely to spar and mix it up with different groups? Someone who loved sparring. That was my favorite part of Taekwondo was the kickboxing and fighting with the adults and getting kicked every Thursday night by them because they were teaching me something. My favorite part of class. Like, I didn't care about their board breaking. I cared about the weapons class and the sparring class. Those things that I competed.
Good on you.
I think the sparring, if done correctly, is what's going to keep people. It's also what separates us the most from the other. Like, the number one, in my opinion, people leave karate the most as children is after 3 months, because after 3 months they start sparring and they're not taught how to spar correctly. They get punched in the face, they get discouraged, and they tell them to do it anymore. Now, part of that's not telling the kid. My tournament, I left in. I got my ass by a kid who was 50 pounds heavier than me. My dad called me. He says, "Hey, well, do you want to quit?" I said, "No, I want to keep going." He says, "Good. I taught how to lose." That's the first thing that we need to work with the younger generation, and that's where, I mean, Ronda was a gold star 99% of the time. She did one loss and she wanted to quit. I don't think people are taught how to lose early enough.
Interesting. Adversity. How to deal with adversity at a young age.
Well, let me chime in on that one.
Yeah, please do. Chris, good point on that.
Here, I'm gonna. We don't know if that was. To be honest with you, I can't say that was a good school. You're having you're seeing something in one school. I've seen a lot of other schools that promote people losing to make sure that to see. If you want to see someone's character, give them an opportunity to win. Give them an opportunity to lose. Okay. I make sure that all my students. It's not an FMA thing. My kids have a good time because I'm teaching them. I'm not FMA. I'm Tim Hartman. Now, there are some schools out there that don't give a damn about their students. They're too old school teachers. Same in the Filipino martial arts. Now, just because that's one experience, I know a lot of people, Chris Rappapol, who's part of Team Paul Mitchell, has a whole program, retention-based sparring, how to keep people in, because in all schools, sparring could be the reason that they stay
or leave.
So I'm going to talk about Justin here to Justin, or ask Justin a question. He's saying about kids, and hey, hello, Renee. Grandmaster Unyo says hello from the Philippines, and so does Grandmaster Renee Tungsten, by the way.
Yes.
So Justin is up in Toronto. I know him personally, and he does. I'm not sure if he's specifically in the Dog Brothers, but I know who his trainer was. He used to train with Renee Piccolo.
And Sled Dog.
Yes. So my question is, what kind of sparring you doing? So if they're intimidated about live stick sparring, that's part of the problem. We need to have sparring for all types of people. So I have enough space to do 3 rings in my school. I'll put a beginner, an intermediate, and then a banger ring. So when people want to hit hard, and that's open hand as well, I'll sit there and go, do you want to hit hard? Are you sure? Okay, let's come and talk and that's the ring I run. But the thing here is, if it is like, okay, you said it right there, Dean, padded stick fighting. It's the way to go. If you talk to the Dog Brothers, what did they do? In between gatherings, they used their sticks were action flex sticks. That's
what I use for my kids, action flex.
Yep. I'm very connected with action flex. I knew the guys when they first started.
I know, early 2000s. Yeah.
And everybody was doing, the padded sticks. You can't train live stick all the time. Now, if you're sparring, like, okay, let's use grappling as an example. I'll let people tap me out because I want to see if they can take advantage of it. When I'm doing Panantukan sparring, I will leave openings for them to punch or kick. When I'm doing stick work, I'll leave them opportunities to hit me. If it's just me whooping the tar out of them, of course they're going to want to quit because they're not doing well. Yeah. So, Justin, are you setting your people up for a win? Is it live stick all the time? And if that's the case, I can see why you have objections. My kids love the fight and they love going to tournaments, but the bulk of them, we're talking still a minority, maybe 15% of my students like to compete.
Yeah.
But they all like hitting each other with a stick. And
I
monitor that.
with my class, they love it. But again, it's controlled. It's there was specific targets in the beginning,
Mhm.
definitely range, and they're not just sitting there close to trading. I mean,
Are you wearing headgear?
I first go hand, then we segue into headgear.
Yeah, because I mean, I see people using padded sticks, the Action Flex. You know what? My most painful martial art injury ever is when Century came out with the battle baton. It literally was a pool noodle with a plastic handle stuck in it. It used to be a spike, and then they changed it because someone probably got stabbed. I was playing with some guy. I moved my head. It hit me right in the eye. No eye protection. Most
Oh,
painful thing. I mean, and I was the hammer that Professor dropped on all the time, and that was the most painful thing I got.
yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
So I'm all about goggles or
Oh yeah,
helmets with
safety
face
protect. Oh yeah,
shields.
especially with kids. Yeah,
You know,
100%, man.
so
With kids, yeah.
I think but that being said, not everyone wants to do sparring. Maybe they want to do forums. Do you offer what? Is there enough diversity in what you do to offer to everybody you want to recruit?
Okay, we're gonna have the other guys coming on soon, but I want to leave. Okay, Christian and Chris, this is gonna be for both of you. Social media, to me, when me and Datu were coming up, we had no social media, phone books, what have you. Um, how can collectively, and more specifically, your age group, but collectively the community, what are the ways that we can use social media as a tool, a marketing tool to get more kids involved? Christian.
I would say, I mean, a lot of kids and younger, like whether you're talking teens or down to like single digits nowadays, they are social media. But at the same time, it's if you post, whether it's on your like personal profile or if it's on like the school you train at page or however, if you're posting stuff consistently and they see it, I mean, it's a little different if you're running a business because then you are specifically like promoting it. You would throw things out there for like kids class, etc. But if you're just posting stuff in general, it's out there. They can see it. And that's not to say, I don't know, like that's not to say they would look at what you're doing and just be like, oh, I don't, whatever. But it's, I don't know. I think a lot of people, especially like younger guys, again, I think they see stuff with the weapons and they realize, maybe they do realize, maybe they don't realize that it translates, if it's stick stuff, that it could translate to sword, but they see the weapons and it's not what they're used to seeing. So if you put it out there, I think it's going to help.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I think that you guys should be using that tool. Chris, same question for you.
Forgive me, but how do we best utilize social media?
Yes, I mean, to the overall benefit of the community and to entice younger folks to, based on what they're seeing, to get inquisitive about it and want to join. I think you guys have this major tool, your access, literally at your fingertips. How could you maximize it to get peers and younger folks involved?
I truly think that social media is the best way to sell it to the children or the kids demographic. I don't know if social media is the immediate way to do that because kids, while a lot of kids are on social media, like in fact, I bet generations that are on social media are younger than me and Chris. We have to be remembering that the kids that are on social media that are in middle school, that are in elementary school, God forbid, or high school, I bet most of them aren't looking at martial arts stuff. So that
I know we have to. I know that's a good point. They're looking at crap mostly.
So here's the thing, and I actually have a company I hired.
Here, excuse me, Datu. I
Okay.
just got to get these new guys in
Okay.
here and let you
All right.
finish up. Christian and Chris, I want to thank you so much for coming on. I really enjoyed you both. I don't want this to be the last time to bring you guys on. So I really want to do more episodes with the younger generation. So if you both know other folks around your age, let's do this again with them. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
why not? Let's do it.
Yeah, Chris, please be in touch. Okay. Because there are a couple things I want to run by you as far as future episodes, Chris. I'm gonna have you get a school whether you like it or not. So, but all right, you guys, thank you for coming on. We'll be in touch.
Later,
Thank you,
guys.
sir.
All right, and Chris, Ryan's question. Oh my gosh, you gotta do this quick, Chris. And I gotta get these other guys on. Okay, so Ryan's question for you, Chris, is okay. Here we go. Here we go. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Okay. Okay. What does it mean to be a warrior to you? And how will you train younger warriors to follow you? That's Ryan's question.
What does it mean to be a warrior, and how do we train future warriors or younger warriors?
Correct.
Okay. A warrior, I've never been asked that question before. That's a great question, though, Ryan. Of course, you'd ask me that here with no preamble or time to think about it, Ryan. A warrior to me is someone who is aware of themselves and is unafraid of being that in the pursuit of furthering the betterment of those around them. It's a big, fancy bunch of words. Essentially, it is how can I be the best that I can be while maintaining my tenacity, my aggression without being overbearing?
Okay.
And how do the younger generation, as someone who taught tons of kids, as someone who was a kid that was taught how to be a warrior, you have to teach them how to utilize their emotions and focus them. It's very Jedi / Sith oriented, you know,
Okay.
genius in a lot of ways. We have to teach them how to focus it. If you're in
Okay.
a
I
bad,
like it.
it's only bad when it's not focused. So we work with kids on that. I've taught kids from all different walks of life, some from terrible backgrounds where all they had was anger and rage, and I taught them how to channel that into something productive. And that
That's awesome. Good
they
on you.
that because they were able to control it and channel it and focus it. Easier said than done. Not every kid has that ability, but that's where you really got it. Those special cases were my favorite. Those are the kids I spent hours. You know, that's what I did with my. He knew I was tough stuff. He let me hit the hours and sweating like
Oh,
a out of the rain because he knew it's. He knew that was my best focus or my best channel. So that's
okay.
we teach them how to. We teach them how to channel it. We teach them how to really just need to be angry, but don't let it. You know, if I can end it.
Okay. Thank you. All right, Chris. Thanks again for coming on. And again, please remain in touch. I want to get you back on with some other guys. Okay.
Anytime you want me to, Dean, just let me know.
Absolutely. You'll definitely be hearing from me. All right. As always, you know who to say hi to. All right. All right. Next, folks. Datu, anything you want to comment on while I bring these other two gentlemen up?
Two quick things. So one,
Sure, please. Go
if
ahead.
you want to get the younger generation in schools, you have to advertise to the decision makers, the parents. They're the ones paying for it. So
good point.
I actually hire a company, and it's well worth it. I use a company called Grow Pro. They're out of Florida. And I end up total spending about $1,000 a month for this advertising. They do all the ads for me. They do everything. And there is a Filipino theme to my ads as well. But at the end of the day, it's the parents. I'm going to make the comment about Warriors. It's a touchy topic for me coming from a military family. If you're not serving, you're not a warrior. That's my personal opinion. But having that fighting spirit, that's another story.
Okay, that's fair.
Because we don't go to martial artists. We're not going to war.
No, this is, I mean, at the end
We're
of the
not
day,
serving our country.
It's true.
Okay. So
Yeah.
it's a personal topic for me. If some people have a different opinion, I will respect their right to disagree with me.
Yeah. I guess I'm saying hi to you, Datu. Chris Dawson.
Yes. Yeah. Chris, we had the Buffalo Niagara Martial Art Festival. First one in 3 years. We had over 60 people in attendance.
Wow. Here's a good suggestion from, and I agree with Coach Danny here. I mean, yeah, post short videos and then get the kids excited so they can go to mommy and daddy and Sign them up. Okay, without further ado, okay, the second half of the show, as I indicated in the beginning, folks, just so that each person, it wasn't just too mumbo jumbo with all the guests, but is Guru Jacob and Guru Noah. And they're going to, again, speak on how do we get more youth involved, whether they're single digits, teenagers, and all that. I don't know if you guys heard my early intro, but I'll just repeat it for you guys and for those who maybe have jumped in late. This subject matter is really dear to me. I started teaching kids FMA early in 2002 when I had a school. To 2012, I got sick of running a school and I sold it. However, I continue to teach kids. I still do it once a week. I firmly believe if I'm advocating this, I need to be part of it too.
How many kids did you have at the time, by the way?
Back in the day?
Yeah, back in the day.
180.
That is what we call a martial arts school.
Yeah. It was, and I was told, you're going to fail. You're doing MMA and FMA for kids. You're going to fail. Didn't fail. Had 3 satellites and a kick butt school.
Mm-hmm.
I feel systems are going to start falling apart. It's already happening with the smaller systems. You might have a leader, you might have a couple students, but a decade down the road, 2 decades, they're going to just be mere, you thought of them, you know what I mean? Mere thoughts. So we're going to address this tonight with you guys and get your opinion on what we could do collectively as a community, but more importantly, what can you guys do to get more involved? So, Datu, I've been railing enough. Do you have a question for these gentlemen?
I know Noah, but
so this
who's our other guest? Because I don't think we've met.
Oh, I'm sorry, Guru Jacob.
I was in the last one. I was in the last episode with Noah and Chris.
I don't think I was in that episode, so I don't think I saw that one.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yes, 180 kids, Coach Danny.
So, where are you from, and what do you do?
I'm from West Virginia. I live in the more in the Upper Falls. It's called Upper Falls, but it's a little place called Tornado. Okay. I've been doing FMA now for this would be my 8th year. I started back in September 25th of 2015. My first teacher was Brian Lucas, same as Noah's, and I continued to do his system along with other people as well. And like Noah said, he retired due to unfortunate circumstances. And where I'm at now, I'm also kind of learning and teaching, mostly learning, but the people I work now, sometimes I'll work with the students and then kind of go back to learning as well. It's more of an on and off for me. Let's see. What else was I about to say? I'm second degree black belt in the system as well. It's Pukulan Chamundi is the system name, and I think that was back in October of last year is when I got that promotion.
Congratulations!
Congrats! Yeah,
thanks.
So, Doctor, did you have a question, or do you want me to?
No, it was all good.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to kind of just give you the same questions I gave the other guys there. So we'll keep it a fair playing field. So my first question is, why this is a concern for me in Datu, the perpetuation of these arts via getting the youth involved. Do you guys see this as a problem, or are we just kind of paranoid, or do you see this as something legit too, the need for this? So let's start with you, Noah.
Kids these days, at least people in my generation, are consistently on the internet. I mean, 24/7. We're either on YouTube or TikTok or one of those garbage apps. And there's not enough of us anymore that are out and about doing stuff, I feel.
I wouldn't argue that based on what I'm seeing and hearing, which is unfortunate. So we're not just two old guys here that are just paranoid. We have a legit
No,
concern then. Okay.
no.
Same question for you, Jacob. I mean, again, is it just two paranoid guys on here, or do you think it's a legit problem?
Hell no, it's a legit problem. You got kids scrolling on their phones all day, melting their brains with shit they shouldn't even be looking at. I mean,
I love these guys already, man.
it's the world has become more corrupt than it ever has before. It really has, and it's a shame that these kids don't get the help that they need and don't want to learn about self-discipline and be a better person and all that. Especially like early teenagers to even like late teenagers and early adults. So that's like 13 to 19 and then like 20 and up. And it's like, it's sad. It's depressing.
Yeah, and I think martial arts is such a great solution with that. And FMA, Datu, anything you want to?
Well, I think COVID really took its toll, and it's probably going to take a decade for it to work because people of all ages are no longer the same. The socialization skills went away, and even when we were masking, people could hide behind a mask. They can hide behind a computer. I mean, we talked about that with the whole Datu thing again, and the stuff here like this is I see the whole world has stepped backwards, and it's just jacked up.
It's so
COVID hit hard.
Yeah.
Half my senior year of high school was completely online, and then my first semester of college, about almost a little past half, we still had to wear masks and social distance.
Yeah, not fun. So with that being said, in agreement that there is some, and we need to, come up with solutions again collectively as a community. Where, what would you like? What are your suggestions? Like, what would you do? So Noah, like, how can we get more people your age or younger involved?
I'll tell you the secrets that not necessarily secrets, but the things that my instructor did to keep kids interested in it is he made it fun for them. And what I mean by that is he would show them stick techniques and stuff. And then afterwards, we would give them pool noodles and just let them wear each other out. And they loved it. I mean, it was like their favorite thing. And then even on days we weren't doing that, at the end of every class, we did some sort of a game with them. And that kept them coming back. They brought friends because they got to gather around and play games and do what with each other in a confined space. Star Wars was another big thing. I mean, everybody loves Star Wars. And then when you take a Kali stick, right, and you switch it with a lightsaber, kids go nuts. I'm telling you. Yeah. I mean, every May 4th, we had a Star Wars day, and we would just do Kali lightsabers. Okay. You know what I mean? So there's different ways to keep kids entertained, anyways. But when it comes to like teens and adults, what I've found is they like swords for some reason. Like when I do a demo and I'm clashing machetes together, it makes people's eyes, they're like, "Whoa, what's that? I want to learn it." But as far, besides swords, as far as I've done, demonstrations are what really draw in the older folks. But fun is the big
for the younger. Fun
for the younger
people. I'm with you on that. When I had my school back then, the most favorite module of everything we offered was the Kali program, was the Action Flex soft stick program. I mean, they absolutely loved it. It became the favorite. So I'm with you. I think there's something there with the fun aspect. Same question to you, Jacob. How do we get more in
there? For the younger kids or the teens or both?
Both. Yeah.
Both? Okay, yeah. So for younger kids, I would like to just keep it short, sweet, and simple and try to add some elements of fun activities. Like, I don't know. We had this one activity where we would set up like a I don't know, those mats that have like little holes in them, and you try to direct your aim through that hole and try to see how accurate you are. That's one way of doing it. We've used bow staffs and did it like a soccer game where we had a big.
Oops. He'll be
There you
back. You must have hit the wrong button or it's like glitch. Before he comes back, Datu, anything you want to add? What they were saying?
Listen, all ages, people want to have fun. It's got to be enjoyable. If it's like work, they already go to work, and that's all ages.
Yeah.
There's recruitment and retention. We have to think about both. And then like I said, but at the end of the day, if it's people need this, but they don't think they need this. All right. Really, martial arts should be in the school systems.
I don't disagree.
I don't care what the system is, the discipline, the control, the focus, no matter what the system is. Yes, I prefer it to be us, but at the end of the day, martial arts as a whole is a good thing if done properly. And I think ultimately people need to understand that we need to make it enjoyable for everybody. Also, when you're doing demos, realize who you're doing the demo for. If it's doing it for you, you failed already. You're supposed to entice the people in front of you to get them to want to what you do. And what I like to do is, I've seen people do at festivals, public festivals, dog brother fighting, and it scared a lot of people away. It's not for the masses.
Yeah,
so
not.
Understand what you're trying to do and who you're
the
reaching
demographics, right? Who you're trying to reach.
Yeah.
Well said. I'm sorry, Jacob, you're back, but go ahead and finish.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't know you were. Yeah,
it happens.
Sorry. But yeah, like I was saying, you'd have all these games for these younger kids and sometimes teenagers and adults to partake in, and keep it short, sweet, and simple.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on the fun aspect and all that. We do have a question here, and it's from Kurt. Let me just see here. As a profession, what is the end-all goal of FMA? What is the professional end state for an FMA practitioner? How can FMA compete against other professional combat sports? So we got 3 questions here. Okay, so let me just see which one kind of fits in here. What is the end goal of FMA?
Remind me to talk about BJJ for a short period, because I want to make a comment that we should all be frustrated with ourselves.
Yes, and I know exactly, and I'm not going to give it away. Okay, so Jacob and Noah, can you see Kurt's question?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I tell you what, Noah, when you tackle it, so as a profession, what is the end all goal FMA? So what do you think, Noah?
I don't know. What's the end all goal of martial arts in general as a profession? For me, because I want to do this the rest of my life. I want to do this as a career. I'm in college for business. That's if it wasn't for the need to learn how to do business, I wouldn't be in college right now. But for me, I just want to teach it and preserve it as best as I can. That's my end goal when it comes to Filipino martial arts as a profession, is just sharing it, trying to get
spreading
as many people as I can to learn it,
Absolutely. Question 2 for you, Jacob. What is the professional end state for an FMA practitioner?
Professional end state. Try to be the best person they can be.
Best version of themselves.
Yeah.
Amen.
You got all these people going into these sports with the mindset of, oh, I'm going to be so good at this and I'm going to beat everyone up, and it's not that. You have to take the time to learn all these techniques and learn all the drills and the footwork, the body mechanics and the applications. It's like how basketball. You have to be good at dribbling the ball. You got to know how to cross, how to shoot threes, and I'll use a pretty famous one, Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan was considered to be, and still is considered to be, the greatest basketball player that has graced the court, and he took the game of basketball very seriously. He didn't treat it as a joke. He didn't treat it as a pastime. It was a career, and people were terrified of Michael because of that mindset. And he would stare into these people's eyes and give them this and tell them, "Hey, pass me the ball. You gotta give me the ball so I can make the shot." And people need to reinforce that kind of mindset into their character, so that they can be the better version of themselves. It may seem like arrogance, but you need to have some sort of flair to show off your skills. You can't just be all passive and be like, "Oh, hey, look at me." You got to show something off.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to have a school and all that, I mean, you have to get in that lane. I used to be in that lane. I'm no longer in that lane. I could use some of that. I'm going to save the last part for you, Dr. Tim. How can FMA compete against professional combat sports? Can it? Yeah, there we go. We're back.
Get rid
to
of the
that.
F.
Get rid of the F.
Back to that. Listen, get the F out. Okay, listen. How can it okay, so first of all, let me go back what you just answered. I turned my passion into a profession, but it's as a businessman, I am trying to put food on the table for my family. My job is to make as much money as possible, charge as much as I can, while giving a quality product that my clients feel they're getting. So there has to be integrity. You need to continue your training, but there's nothing wrong with making money because the masters and grandmasters are doing that. Okay. If we have bills, we have to pay. I mean, my rent is $3,300 a month. That's my rent alone. My advertising is $12,000 a year. Actually, it's more than that when you consider my website. So it's probably like $24,000 a year. So there's nothing wrong with making money doing this as long as we're providing a quality product. Now, how do we compete? All right, here we go. Get uniforms, have a written curriculum, have a guideline, a path that the students can see. Remove as much objection as possible. Train to the people, not to you. You can build up to other things later. These are some of the things, but I mean, that right there is a full topic. We did 3 episodes on that.
Everything you said.
I don't want to be preachy about it, but I mean,
is...
at the end of the day, we have all the tools. You know what it is? People are in their own mind. And if you don't have open hand combatives, I can't help you on that. It's like Kendo. Kendo will never be a huge art. It's an adjunct art. It's an add-on to something else. Kendo, Iaido, fencing, HEMA. Very rarely you're going to find professional schools of those things. So, and Filipino martial arts, we're everyone's ugly stepchild that no one wants to talk about because we're taught in other person's schools. Okay, both you guys. When you got exposed to FMA, was that the primary focus of the school?
Well, somewhat. I wouldn't say. I would say it was mostly the prime focus because we did a lot of stick work, we did knives, and we did open-handed most of the time.
Where were your open-hand combatives coming from?
It was mostly we did Krav Maga techniques, but then we also mainly used the sticks and knives. So Krav Maga was like an add-on to what we were studying or learning. And then we also added some kickboxing in as well.
And it's good that you added diversity. If you didn't have those open hand combatives, do you think the school would exist? Would it have survived as long? Would it have gotten you involved, or would it have closed before you had an opportunity?
Yeah, it would have gotten me involved if there was like more to it. The more the merrier. If you got stuff with the whip, I might even use the whip. If you got stuff for like the shield, I could use it for the shield. More diversity makes it better. But the main stuff we did was just stick fighting, knives, and Krav Maga, and then like kickboxing.
Okay. And it was this a professional school, or did he have a day job?
It was a professional school.
Yeah. Mostly professional. Yeah.
Full time? Okay.
Okay.
Because I mean, that's really not the norm of most cases. You know, I mean, we the first group. I mean, Chris is different, but a lot of people started something else and then got into Filipino martial arts another way.
I want to get to social media with you guys and the possibility of you guys open up your own school. If before, I just want to leave each of you a thought before I ask you both of you guys, Coach Danny's question. You guys you two should seriously think about opening up your own schools down the road. And the person to talk to is right here about that. Okay. Coach Danny's question is, as an instructor, what is the most important thing you must do to keep your students engaged and wanting to continue training? Noah.
Fun, humor. I've done 3 mini seminars at my college so far. This week will be the final one for this semester until I renew it for the next semester. And I asked them, because they came back, and I said, what was it that brought you back? And they said that it was fun and they really enjoyed it.
Oh, fantastic.
Besides my charming looks, I mean, that plays a key role in it.
That's what I'm saying, right? I mean,
fun.
Do we even need to bring that up?
You have to balance the two of them. That's the key. You can't just have all fun, or you can't just have all seriousness. What brought me back, because me and Jacob yesterday, we did a 6-hour-long seminar with Grandmaster Bobby Tabuada. What brought me back to that is the guy is hilarious. I mean, he perfectly balances his humor and the fun of the art with the seriousness of it. And that really is what brought me back to it. So as an instructor, what have I done to keep people coming back is making a balance of the serious aspect of the art, the practical aspect of the art, and then adding a little bit of fun and humor into it.
Good for you. No, well said. How about same question for you, Jacob?
Yeah, for me, that definitely has part of it to do, keeping it fun, but also keeping it fresh. The material that you have may not be like engaging enough. It may not be attracting enough people. So you could add in something like basic exercises like push-ups, sit-ups, squats. You could add something like yoga or even meditation. When Brian was still around, he would give the students like actual homework assignments to take home and do.
I remember those.
Yeah. I remember one that he had some of the students do, and it involved finding arrowheads. And he said, go out in the woods, go find an arrowhead, bring it back to the school. And I think it was something like explain how you found it, or maybe go into the history of arrowheads. It was something like that. And he would always keep to the usual training, but then he would add like homework assignments, like if you were at actual school, writing down like on paper,
okay,
stuff like that.
No. Dr. Jim, check out Renee's comment. He loves adding medication to my drink.
Oh, okay.
What kind of medication?
Yeah, what kind of
very good question. Very good question.
It's Canadian, so it's a whole nother. We're probably talking about some Molson Canadian about
that. From both of you. Datu, anything you want to add or ask these gentlemen before I get into the social media aspect?
No. I mean, I like you know what? Nothing wrong with your first two guests. These two guys I like because they're in touch with what's going on out there. Knowing the problem with social media is with the kids that are all
I thought it,
they started off amazing. So they nailed it. So whether you know what you're doing, you nailed it with us. You want us over.
I get a gold star.
We're the better of the two.
Yeah.
Gold stars.
I will give you 2
Both
gold
gold
stars the next time
Yeah,
I see you.
particularly, yeah, you guys both on just the sad state of affairs, what's going on today. It's actually really scary.
It
You know,
is.
not to digress into a different area of this conversation or get political, but it's just downright scary what's going on. And
This is why more people have to get involved with martial arts, because we
Yeah,
change the world
yeah.
one person at a time, and we need to set our best foot forward to attract people to show how
So
much we actually have to
you
offer.
guys, again, which I alluded to with the 2 previous guests, Christian and Chris, literally, you guys, social media, I mean, really at, you know, literally fingertips. How could you guys, each of you, by use of social media, attract kids your age or younger? Like, what do you think you could do? I mean, is it possible? Like, how can you do it? What do you know? How could you use it as a tool to get more involved?
Do you want to go first?
I can. I'm trying to get more content on my Instagram. My steak fell off the table. Trying to get more content on my Instagram. And then I'm thinking about starting a TikTok page. But the thing with TikTok is you never know who's going to get to it.
Yeah, I have no
Because
idea.
TikTok
For long as it's there.
randomized algorithm. So
Okay.
it could, when you post something on there, it could show up on anybody's feed, you know, depending on what kind of stuff are they looking at. And these days, anybody and their monkey's uncle has access to social media. So my instructor he had books, and then later on he had VHS tapes. He didn't have all this fancy stuff, you know, as he told me.
That's what I mean. It's so relevant today, and there's just so much out there, not just in terms of content, but how to use it as a tool in that. So, Jacob, what do you think? How could you guys use it as a tool to enhance or entice to get more people involved?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say like make a professional account and start out small, like maybe gain a decent following first, and see what people think. You know, read the comment section, see what people want to get out of what they watch from you, and then there's also the use of branding. What you want people to see you as when you're doing martial arts. Character is very important in martial arts nowadays, because there's people out there that say that they're nice guys, but they're really not. An example I'll use: there was a story about a judo master. He was teaching this 12, 13-year-old kid, and he kept slamming this kid on the mat really hard, and it actually put the kid into a coma.
Jeez.
The kid died 3 days after he was in a coma too.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah. So having good character and showing that you're not a fake person and that you mean business with the branding, that's important as well.
No. Datu, anything you want to add as far as what these gentlemen can do in this, get more involved?
You know, unfortunately, social media is a rough one. I mean, it gets you views, but it's hard to target, know who to target. I mean, the thing here is who sees a lot of this stuff? Martial artists. They're not going to switch camps. I mean, you might get some people, don't get me wrong, you get some karate or taekwondo people, but if we're talking about recruiting brand new people from the ground up, you know, that's why I hired an ad agency. You know, and once again, they're targeting the decision makers in the household, the parents, not
what
the
about
kid.
this? Yeah.
Because really, the kids can't pay for it. They don't have money.
He's
how old
19,
are you guys?
and he's
18. I'll be 19 next month.
Okay.
And what age were you?
I was
when you
14.
Started, both of you?
I started in 2017, so whenever that was.
2017. So you were 13 or something. Okay.
Okay.
What about this?
So neither one of you really had. I mean, this is about
No.
disposable income. Neither of you had disposable income. It was your parents that paid for everything. So I mean, the key to getting kids is targeting parents. And the problem is when martial artists do ads, a lot of times we're doing ads for ourselves, not for everyone looks at things through black belt eyes. Well, how would I recruit me to you? Not how would I recruit somebody who's
here's an interesting
nobody
comment from
to me,
Coach Danny. Get your students' parents to post as well, which I think is a good idea. Have you guys?
Yes.
Have you here? Noah and Jacob. Have
That's
you?
exactly
Here's something
right.
I did. I went to a local when I decided I wanted to teach kids again, and that I basically went to somebody I knew. He owns which I'm currently status quo at right now. Torrington. It's called Torrington Family Kempo, and I said, look, I walked in one day. I said, look, I like to do this stick program for kids. It's not going to conflict with you. It's going to be actually complement your school, complement your program, possibly get you people in the door, which I have done. Have you guys considered going to a traditional school or a school that doesn't offer FMA and perhaps complementing their existing school or program?
That's not crossed my mind a lot. I've thought about it very little.
Something to consider. I've done it and it works really well. I mean, granted, you're not. I'm not saying you're gonna get their premium time, but it worked out really well for me with this guy and all that. But it's something to consider doing because basically you're getting into an existing program that has kids, and you offer to them whatever financial arrangement. There's obviously you can get kind of creative in that regard, but something you guys might want to consider doing. It does work. It really does, and I've had success with doing it. Datu, anything on that from you?
I don't think that's a bad idea. I see
Even
these two guys might have a problem
and they did a
because they're
little
so
demo.
young.
I did a demo
Because
too.
a lot of I'm just saying in general. So, if you have students that'll come with you, I think that'll go a long way. So, do you have a training group?
Yeah, we got the seminars down at his campus.
Okay, but I mean, do you have a group
Jacob
of people that come to you off campus? See now if you have a handful, let's see. So so I've taught through continuing education department, offer classes through that in school. I get a lot of feedback. A lot of people there. I was one of their instructors, and then I teach now at my facility. They come to me. They're not my students. That's something that's advertising for me, But if I have a group of people and I take it to a school already, and I'm like, hey, looking for some mat time, and I'd be more than happy to work out some deals with teaching your class towards mat time and stuff of that nature. It's just when someone comes into I'm a school owner. I'm looking at a pair of teens here, and I'm like, all right, what do you have to offer? Okay, well, we can maybe not. Depends on what my hours are like, and then you have to prove yourself too. There's a lot of it's just walking in off the street with nothing. It is a hard sell because I've had plenty of people through the years wanting to teach X, Y, and Z at my club, and the first thing I said, "Do you have students?" And when they said no, I was like, I'm not interested. If you don't have a clientele already, I don't want to bring you in because anyone that comes through the door, if it becomes between my program and your program, you lose.
Yeah,
right.
Because we're talking business now. Dean, you've had a school with a whole bunch of people. I mean, you had 180 kids. You've got something that these two guys don't have, that kind of experience as a school owner. So you've got clout. These guys don't. So and I'm not trying to say anything bad. We just got to do something to get you more clout. And if you have a training group underneath you, now you come something to the table. Say, hey, listen, I got 10, 15 people. We're looking for a place. I'd be more than happy to look at doing something, renting space and or possibly teaching your clientele in exchange. And then who knows what
There's
that
gotta be,
goes into.
Because when I look at these guys, I mean, all of them, that, Chris and Christian was on before, Noah here and Jacob, they just seem like they're just really good young guys, and I would just love to see it if there's a way to catapult them into teaching more and getting them to spread.
Well,
Yeah,
I think it's doable. It might be a hard sell. And the thing here is their community is a small community. I mean, like my town, there's only a couple schools, and you only get one first impression. So you go in, they're going to remember you years down the road if you come back and try it again later. So, I mean, that's why you need to make sure you have a game plan. Now, maybe they sit there and say, hey, listen, if you've got some people, then we can have a talk. And then, hey, then that's a cool thing.
Yeah, we have to, let's see here. Let me just see Chris here. I think that's also where a larger social media presence can be beneficial. A school sees that you have a good, I agree kind of with Chris here. He's got a good point here on what he's saying is basically in conjunction with you guys going to schools, if you had this social media presence and people following you, you know more, and you could actually show said owner or instructor this, certainly that would help. You know,
Yeah,
and that's kind of what Chris is saying here. You know, again,
And I'm not disagreeing with
yeah,
Brian
and
says. I'm just saying
everybody
it's a hard sell.
needs a chance. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, because at the end of the day, here's the thing. Here's the thing you got to think about. It's my business that you might be screwing with. This is how I put food on my table.
Yeah.
So I'm very protective of my school. So, and if I see a pair of young guys like this, I mean, and Chris is right. Here's the thing. My social media stuff that you see me doing this, the seminar or my videos and all this stuff, it appeals to people who are already in. So that helps me with my seminars and my camps.
Yeah.
It doesn't recruit people in off the street. But then I know I've got a company that markets my school, and then I market me to a different clientele.
I know. We just gotta. Okay. So we got some suggestion here for you guys, and you know, obviously with Chris watching as well, and hopefully maybe Christian is still watching. Can you guys? Is there like after? Here's kind of what I did when I grew my school. Believe me, I didn't get to 180 overnight, hardly. But I got into after school programs. I would run stuff there. And there, have you guys, that's something you guys might want to think about. In other words, I can't speak. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
That's how I built my school. That's the
how
continuing
your
education
schools work
department.
there. But for instance, I'll kind of give you what I did. I basically, at dismissal, the kids got dismissed to the gym. I went there upon conclusion, let's say it ended at 4 o'clock. When parents come in, they would go. So the program was, if I'm trying to recall correctly, it was anywhere from like 45 minutes to an hour. It was FMA based and all that. You know, they did some punching, kicking, and then, you know, some of the stick work at the end to keep them kind of, you know, dialed in because that's what they really wanted to do. But that's something you guys might want to think about after school. Now you want to target elementary. And I had really great success in doing that. So that's something you might want to think about.
Also remember this company name, Francis L. Dean and Associates.
That's when I used to use.
It's the insurance company I use.
Yes, you have to.
If you're not insured, that could be an issue.
It's cheap.
Probably costs about $500 a year.
Cheapest
company,
well
worth it.
And that's all, you know, to get in the school system, they just want to see it. You're good to go. But that's something you guys might want to.
Well, listen, I had a guy try to say they might be inexpensive. Don't think that it's just cheap, because I had a guy try to sue us because he said he had his arm broken at our place. They sicked a private detective after him, following him around, feeling that it was full of bullshit. So they are a solid company. They've been around for decades. Here's the problem. And there's people that you and I both know that have been on this show that are teaching martial arts and have no insurance whatsoever, which means ultimately they can take your home or in your guy, like wherever you're living, they'll go after your parents if you're living with your
cover
family.
that base, you know what I mean? But here, hopefully those are some helpful suggestions for you guys, maybe to kind of spread it among, obviously, your guys' age and younger, but try to elementary school, and just other like places like rec. I can't speak on your guys' geographic area what you guys have, but rec centers, whatever. I mean, I did one of those too, but church. But really, the big thing
Church.
was public schools. Yeah, church.
I taught in my
right.
church.
So, Datu, any final comments from you? Oh, Datu, you got to make your BJJ statement.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, okay. The BJJ. There we go. Here's the problem. FMA has had the biggest head start, right? We've been around. It started getting popular in the 70s, okay? Now, we had decades, okay? Decades head start. UFC number 1 was in November 12th, 1993, okay? Became an add-on program. There are schools all around the states, okay? Full-time Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu schools. We had this huge head start. Here's another art that would have been just let's add it to our karate, let's add it to our taekwondo, fill in the blanks. They blew us away. All right. So there's no, and now like the business, I'm part of Maya. They are learning from our organization on how to be better school owners. Now there was a little pushback at first because they couldn't wrap their heads around certain things, but once they got it, can you imagine? Here we go. A Christmas sale. All right, $100,000 in an afternoon. Over that in the afternoon, and one of them was done by a BJJ school. And it only affected their monthly income for probably about $500, which you think, what's a year? That's only $6,000.
Yeah, that's
$100,000 in an afternoon. So we can do this, and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is rock solid. It's not a McDojo. These are solid schools. Why that they started after us, that they blew us away like we were standing still, and they can do it and we can't. All they do is cuddle with each other.
They just roll around on the ground. What are they doing that we can't do?
If it's white shorts, it's okay. But when they're wearing those Speedos, that ain't right.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Don't look at me eye to eye. I don't like.
Final, Noah, any final thoughts or comments?
I don't know. When I first started, I got involved with it. I mean, I first started because my mom dragged me to it. Right, I initially had no interest in it.
Good on her.
But once I started to get to know
the decision maker,
Mr. Brian, my mindset changed very quickly. One was his character, his mindset. It was very anti-ego. If he knew that you were very egotistical, he'd send you out the door. And it was also the people that he had trained with. I mean, he had trained with some of the best people in the world, in my opinion. Dan Inosanto, Eddie Joffrey, the Torres brothers, William Sanders, John Malter,
legends,
Chuck Giovanni, et cetera, et cetera. But initially I didn't have a clue who these people were, and then I went home and I looked them up, and I was like, holy crap, and that really got me involved. But it was also, it was just him as a whole. I mean, I've always looked at him as like a grandfather figure,
Mm-hmm.
That's what kept me with it, was more or less his character, the stuff that he showed us, the stuff that he taught us, and just the way that he taught us, how he perfectly blended it with fun, humor, and then the serious aspect of it. That's what kept me with it.
Okay, no, good. How about you? Any final thoughts from Jacob?
Speaking about you and going after school to teach the kids FMA, I actually do that like during school. My lead teacher has actually accepted my permission to teach a little bit of FMA and also other arts as well, mostly FMA and C-lot.
Okay.
But very little C-lot. I don't show them any of like the actual techniques because it's considered to be very dangerous. So I've only showed them like empty-handed forms, but I've done empty-handed FMA and also the footwork with them, and then like I said, the empty hand forms. But yeah, I feel like I agree with you on that. Get like kids, like middle school kids, coming to you wanting to learn about this art, and they're so invested into it. It's like a fat kid trying to go get more ice cream out of the ice cream truck. And so, yeah, the more kids that do that, the better.
That now?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think anyhow, but yeah. But yeah, I want to, you know, again, I want to thank you guys for coming on. You guys did fantastic, and you know, I don't want this to be the last time you guys come on. Like I mentioned to Chris.
Yeah, anytime.
You know, so I thought you guys, you know, did really well, articulated well, and how about any thoughts from you, Datu?
They said they started off strong and they kept going with it.
Yeah.
And they're doing something. At the end of the day, okay, don't want to take away from social media stuff. You still got to teach people. You know, like like Chris was talking before about, well, he likes the idea of being a seminar instructor. Well, you got to get your teaching skills somewhere, and that's why you got to keep teaching. You need a school to get that stuff going. And these guys, they're teaching classes, and they got groups, and they're going to keep going. So maybe one day they'll become seminar instructors. But you got to have a place. Like my school is, I call it the lab. I'm the mad scientist, and I'm constantly messing with stuff. I can't do that on a seminar. I got to do that somewhere where it's safe and no one will judge me based on trying something out. Because I can sit there to my students and go, hey, can you stay for an extra couple of minutes? I want to try something. Or even in the middle of class. But in the middle of a seminar, when you're supposed to be the quote-unquote expert or the authority, you can't pull that shit off then. So it's important to teach, and these guys are doing it. So
I
kudos to you
teaching.
two gentlemen.
Everything to do.
Well, the show you guys keep doing it, and for Chris Chiu before we gotta get him in school. But all right, you guys, I want to thank you for coming on, and I'll be in touch for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Guru Jacob, Guru No, you guys take care.
Yep. Peace.
Adios.
And that, folks, wraps up 400. What is next? So much, which Datu doesn't know, could be doing a theme episode on, maybe we'll do it with Kurt or somebody. What is the better self-defense weapon, blunt or edged? So what do you think, Datu? Good theme episode, huh?
I mean, today or the edge versus impact weapons?
So in other words, and this, of course, it could be very opinionated. There'll be some legality brought into it and legal means, but what is the better self-defense weapon? And of course, we have to look at setting in your house, out in the parking lot, Lowe's, where everybody's looking at you. What could it be? Do you think it would be edge?
Are you asking for an answer right now, or just
no? But I thought it'd be a nice.
Okay.
I thought it'd be
and I say it's, and that's my theory.
There you go. That was the perfect answer. But I thought it'd be an interesting theme episode. You know.
Oh, I think I think it's going to be a good theme episode because it's going to be controversial.
And we know controversy attracts.
It brings attention. So can I do a plug while I'm here today?
Oh, please do. Yeah.
So tomorrow, so recently it came up that the Prices brothers hated each other.
I saw the ad for that.
And I happen to know otherwise. Okay. And we're doing a show tomorrow night about that because ultimately we're trying to do the best for the Prices family legacy. And we're going to talk about different things. Can you ask Tim when he's going to go be what?
Can you ask Tim what's going on in that?
With the still? Okay, so I'm in the middle of redecorating my
Yeah, I
garage.
was
And
gonna say,
these are
what
oil
is going
bottles.
on there?
These are automotive oil bottles.
Oh, I thought they were like a bunch of liquor bottles.
Hold on. Well, I mean, I got those too.
Little do I know.
Well, like right here.
I mean, it looked like liquor
They're
bottles.
running backwards. Here's a Pennzoil bottle.
All right, come on. Okay. Wow.
You know, so
That is neat.
so when I was down at Ty's, I ended up bringing back a whole bunch of things.
Yeah, a bunch of things.
So
Like
listen,
you always do.
for
You
those
always
who
make
go
those
to
stops.
seminars, whether you're teaching or not, and you're looking for some stuff, Marketplace, I cannot tell you how much stuff I have scored huge deals on. Martial art equipment,
That's incredible.
collectibles, and stuff of that nature.
Christian, anytime, and you'll be back on. Here's Datu. Cough, meth, cough.
Stop it. Stop it.
The guy
Jealous
killed
'cause
me.
I got nice things and my feet work.
Hey, you know what? Too, we got to talk early in the week. What we have coming down.
Well, I didn't want to talk about that. That was too much shameless promotion. I want to talk about the show that you're really a member of, FMA Talk.
Yeah.
I don't. He's only here on FMA Discussion because it's contractual agreement, even though he owns the FMA Discussion.
But I am a free agent. No,
he's a free agent. He's trying to take Ty's job, and it's coming up. I don't know. Okay, I'll say it.
Absolutely no one.
So a week. Okay, coming Saturday and Friday night, Saturday and Sunday, we're going to be in New Hampshire at the Martial Arts Symposium hosted by Terry Dow.
Correct.
And we will be representing the FMA track, the FMA Invasion de la. The core team, in addition to Dean and myself, Mike and May Williams, Ty Botting, Steve Lefebvre, and for the first time at the event from the West Coast, the left side of the country, Suru, Jason, and I of the United System.
Yeah.
Forgot to ask what Suru meant.
Oh, yeah, I don't know, honestly.
Brian, you're a trader. Brian says you're a trader. Look at that.
I know. Well, I am. Well, I'm still affiliated here, but free agent for.
He's a free agent.
When Ty is, but here's the thing too, though. You're a free, like Tom Payne. The reason why I'm doing two shows this week, Tom, I should be on Reprieve. Guru Tom is in the Philippines, so I have to pick up the slack. So,
yeah, slacker.
I
mean, the thing here's the cool thing: we're cross population. Yeah. We're on both shows. We're hanging out and talking to each other, and each show has its own vibe and theme and network. Yeah. And it shows that we can all get along together and have a good time.
And there's sometimes you get to the point better than I do with tougher questions. I try to, and I'll be honest, I try to, which is why it's nice to have two different personalities.
Yeah, I mean, listen, and I grew up in a blue collar town in a law enforcement and military family with a state trooper and veteran as a father, and then my stepfather was a bipolar steel worker and veteran. And my first job, I had an ex-military guy. So, I mean, we didn't mess around. We just talk what it was.
We mentioned that episode 355. That episode 355, that must have been some episode.
I think it only has 13 views now.
That's got to be some episode.
Oh, by the way, I now know who our guy is. I'm not going to tell you. He called me after the show. I know exactly who he is. I kind of thought about it, but he gave it away. And at the end of the day,
is this somebody do I know of him?
No. You don't know.
Oh, okay.
I will say that he did show up on tonight's show too, but he was a comment person. So
Alex.
What?
It was a guy, Alex.
Nah. Well, who knows? Could be us. Could be Renee.
Oh.
Could be Renee.
Dean is trying to be diplomatic. I try, and Tim is direct. Yeah, that's why we make such a good because.
Yeah, I mean, and like the same with Ty. So I mean, listen.
Exactly.
Especially now, I looked at this. Remember, I mean, back in school, you'd have a teacher that was saying, some of you aren't doing a good job, and the kids that really were good kids were the ones they thought they were talking to.
Yeah.
And it was the knuckleheads. They're like, yeah, it's not me, whatever. And it's like, hey, no, like in my club, hey, Billy, stop it. Stop screwing around. And I'll do that in front of everybody. But usually what I'll do is like, or I'll snap a finger and they know someone messed up. And then if they don't stop, that's when I do it. I don't call Tim only FaceTime. Yeah. Sure. If that's what you say, Renee.
So I'm kind of excited, not only for this weekend, but after the weekend, kind of our announcement.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and which I do want to meet during the week when you have time.
Are we doing anything after the show tonight?
We could. Fun.
Yeah. Facebook Messenger, or are you going to do it right here?
Yeah, we can do it right here. Sure.
Okay. After everything's shut down.
Yeah. We could do that. I mean, it'd be convenient. Sure.
Well, thanks for tuning into FMA Talk, and please like the channel, subscribe, and hit that notification button. And by all means, share this wherever you feel is a necessity.
Wait a minute. It's saying FMA discussion podcast up here.
I don't know. It's a typo. And that logo up there, just ignore that logo. This is FMA Talk.
It's FMA Talk.
It's FMA Talk. You got the host of FMA Talk and one of the co-hosts, Dean Franco.
So yeah, but what do you think of that as an episode?
Edge versus Impact Weapons?
You know, it would be interesting. We could bring Renee on.
Would that be episode 356 as well? No.
That would be
episode 403.
That would be
listen, okay, so let me throw a criteria out for you. Concealed versus open.
When I hear concealed versus open, I think of gun.
No, but I mean, okay, you could have pocket stick, flashlight, dulo, stuff of that nature, and then you could have things like sticks, machetes, stuff of that nature. I mean, because if it's gonna be something that's in your pocket, edge weapon is gonna be a lot of people's favorite. You know, and then we can talk down. Okay, well, what do you do when you can't carry an edge weapon? Then we have to talk about the legality aspects. But what if you're walking around? Okay, so like I carry a cane and a walking stick sometimes. Actually, right now I just started my non-surgical thing for a treatment for my heel spur and plantar fasciitis, but I pulled my quad and I can't for 2 months. I can't take any anti-inflammants. I can't ice. I can't do any of that stuff. So my left leg is killing me. So sometimes I'm walking with a cane. So,
sorry to hear.
You know, so now you got bigger tools as well, you know, and it's like, hey, what do you do when you're in an elevator? What do you do when you're walking a trail?
I think it's, I think it's all worthy of,
so there's going to be a lot of different factors. You might want to sit there and say, hey, listen, if you only can carry something in your pocket or small, if it was a small tool, what is your preference versus say a medium tool like a stick, machete, or walking, something along those lines? Because then we can address both, because there's also going to be what is visible, and how can
the reason
carrying like a sword on your back isn't going to cut it in some
places. Unless you're in Texas. But the reason I'm thinking was Renee in Canada, because their laws are also strict. So I was thinking that Renee could bring the Canadian legality.
Well, I think Renee would be a good guy to have on.
We can maybe
they'll just teach you how to use a nail gun as a carpenter. They're legal.
So Renee,
when you can't carry a taser, you know what you carry?
Brian,
a cattle prod. Cattle prods are small now. Boom, boom.
That's
interesting. But Brian, we're not talking about that today, because we're not going to talk about what the ultimate weapon is, which is, and then we'll talk about that as well. Man, my microphone keeps blacking out.
I know. What's going on?
Hey, listen, speaking of which, you need to talk to you guys about microphones blocking out. I felt bad with Chris on there, because
when he got closer, it was definitely better. Matter of fact, he went to a new, like when I did the test run of them, he had that issue. And then he was saying during the test run, he was going to a different location for the interview. But
I think it's background noise.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, okay, listen, I've got a Rode mic. I paid to have this thing, you know. But even when we did our first podcast, I had earbuds with a microphone so you can hear me.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but when he got, I know there was some.
And I don't know if he was on a phone or not, but when he got this close, we could hear him.
Yeah, he had a. I'll get it. I'm getting a headset from him. No worries, Chris. When you got closer, we were able to.
Just felt bad because I think he had some good stuff to offer, and I think I put together what he was saying.
I'm really high on him for a few reasons. One, I look at his intentional, what he does as far as involvement with different folks and working together with different people, not being narrow-minded. I think he's just somebody that could really do well getting a school. He's in an area where there's a bunch of FMA different systems around Florida. I mean, Florida's a hotbed. So hopefully, I hope anyhow.
Renee,
I thought that was.
Listen, I tell you what, Chris is doing. He's doing a good thing being involved with the community. Yeah. What I'd like to see him do is do things outside of his network, like the martial arts symposium, like he should attend the FMA discussion event in North Carolina, because it's really not that far away. Well, it is, because he's farther down, but he needs all these guys. They need to go to preferably non-FMA events, and if they're going to do to FMA events, try to get outside your region, because the Florida thing's fine, but like when you do an all FMA event, that's good retention for the FMA community.
Yeah, I know what you mean. You're not bringing
to recruit more people to the art. And part of that is other schools that are doing karate and taekwondo, etc. You need to be seen at the non-FMA events. And I would like to see, what I would suggest for him is to work on people that are not in his father's network. Because the thing here is, I don't want to say it the wrong way.
What's that?
Okay. You want to know why Remy Jr. never really took off?
Why is that?
Because he went after Remy's network, and he's not his father, nor was he his students.
Oh, okay.
So, and that's it. Cross-pollination. That's exactly right. But the thing here is, if how
about FMA practice, cross-training, compete? Yeah.
The problem here is, no matter how good Chris is, he's going to be judged by his father's performance, no matter what.
If he branches out, I think
and that's what he needs to do. He doesn't need. Okay, so if he's doing seminars at karate and taekwondo schools, if they're his father's karate and taekwondo schools, that doesn't matter. He needs to go to places that no one knows him.
I think he got a gig in North Carolina some time ago.
That's good.
I don't think the father was affiliated with that. I could be wrong.
That's great. And he needs to do more of those events. I mean, I went to so many different martial art events because I'm an avid fan of martial arts. I would go to karate, jiu-jitsu, kempo, ninjutsu, and I would get seminars because people saw me perform. Like, well, what do you do? Filipino martial arts. And then I would do a little for something like, dude, would you like to come by and do something? Why, sure. But that's not why I went. But the thing here is, if you want, you got to be seen by the open network, and social media doesn't tell you what kind of a person you are.
No.
Demonstrations with music in the background.
No person obviously is going to be the best way.
Hey, you were invited back to. Okay, how did you get into the FMA invasion?
Oh, due to you, absolutely.
Okay, how did you get invited back?
I was a good character.
Due to you.
Myself. Yeah.
Due to you.
Yeah.
Remy's name opened doors for me. I had to have people see a value of having me back. I opened a door for you. Okay. You've opened up doors for me by having you on your show. There's people who've seen me on your show that never may have heard about me, but never met me and never heard me. And I have people reaching out, and I know for a fact that it's because you opened up some doors for me on the internet. Did
you send that check yet, or just
no? That was the check. That was payback for getting you in the symposium. No, but the thing here is, this is why we help each other. This is why we all help each other. But the thing here is, you're going to non-FMA events. You made friends that are non-Filipino martial artists, and you're asked back. That was all you.
Yeah, right. Well, you get right, and I, to this day, I appreciate it. Yeah, right. If you go there, you blow it.
It really wasn't about me. You were given an opportunity to fail or succeed, and you succeeded, and that's why you're going back. It could have been me. It could have been somebody else.
Yeah, Terry said, I don't want him back.
Come on, here's $5. Have him back. Okay, Tim.
All right, we'll do it. Give him one more chance.
Yeah, but that's what I like. I mean, that's what I like to see all three of those guys do, or all four of them. Start if they're going to want to teach seminars. Get outside. Those three I don't know about, but Chris, I'd like to see him do stuff that's outside of his father's network. I think that would be
Chris
great.
Definitely is not only just older. I think Chris's skill set.
Okay, so I'm going to address this, Chris. The small circle camp, isn't that because your father's relationship with Leon? That's what I'm talking about. I mean,
yeah, but
because Leon, there was the next general. Okay, so there was we did in a Black Belt article called Modernista's Next Generation. Then Jack Hogan, which was offshoot of George Dillman, did the Big Three's Next Generation. It was Jack Hogan, it was Leon J, it was Bruce Chiu. So there's already that family connection.
He'll do it though. He's
no. But teaching that, what I'm saying is, I don't count that because there was
a
family connection.
Yeah,
no, that's good that he's doing that because he's going to maintain. What I'd like to see him do is go places that are outside that network, and that's what I'm talking about. So, because and that's where we're coming from. It's not saying that that's bad. Listen, every seminar is one in the win column. There we go. What I'm saying though is, for Chris to become his own man, I'd like to see him do seminars at places that he has no connection with. Like when I went to Iceland, I was the first FMA seminar ever there. I made my own connections. Venezuela, Chile, all these places. No, it wasn't because of Remy. No, Remy wasn't there, and they were having me in.
Yeah, no, 100%.
And that's what I'm talking about right there. And I'm not saying he is, but
I think, you know what though? When I look at when I look at young folks, and just by doing this channel, by doing these interviews, who's who. When I look at him, I see everybody around that age bracket. I see him going places.
I see that he could do that.
Yeah. And
I definitely think he has the potential.
I 100%, and I'm gonna do what I can, because I think he'll carry the torch. You know what I mean? I think he'll be a torch carrier. I really do.
I just, like I said, I know what he does for a living, and I know it interferes, and I would really like to see that the social media starts paying off for him, where he can devote more time to the martial arts, and or maybe if he gets promoted in what he's doing now, where it's a less demanding schedule on his time.
Yeah, I know.
And like I was lucky. I worked for Pizza Hut and worked for Advanced Auto Parts at one point together, at other times back to back, and I never had to. For the most part, I didn't work weekends, so I could go to seminars.
Oh, you were able to free to, right?
Oh yeah. When I went full time Advanced Auto Parts, 8 to 4, Monday through Friday. And so weekends were mine to do whatever I want, and I went off, and every night I was teaching. So that's where I honed my craft, and then I got on the.
Just like him as a carrier, I hope good things for him. So I'm kind of excited. I think this would be a good theme show to do. Like, what are the benefits of a legal self-defense tool, whether it be edge or blunt? Like, because if we open it up more, it's going to just be too many ways.
If you're going to do it in the United States, I think it's going to be a little one-sided, because we're going to go with logic and facts, and then
that's why I wanted to bring Renee on, because he's Canada. He could bring the Canada legality, because
he brings the chaos factor.
Well, that too, yeah, but it'll be fun chaos though. I mean, it'll be.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I mean, because well,
Renee,
I
if
mean,
you're interested,
obviously,
let me
we're
know.
going to take firearms out of the mix.
And under what's that? Under
$19.
and then it will be intent and legality. Won't it be intent? Yeah, I mean, moral compass, legality.
Yeah, I mean that's gonna
value system.
No, here's what I'll tell you what's gonna. Here's my prediction.
Okay.
Because we're FMA, people are going to go for one side because of the cultural significance, and a lot of people will not see the other side, which is legality and intent.
Well, we'll have to. I don't know. We got to make it. There's some way to make.
But for the record, you know what my everyday carry is?
What's that? Your 5 fingers.
I do not rely on a. I carry a blade and impact tools together, and I don't rely on them.
I don't carry a knife unless my kids are with me. I don't carry.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I grew up on a farm. I have to have a. I cut.
Yeah,
stuff
utilitarian. I get it. Sure.
Yeah. So I don't. I mean, now is my knife a tactical folder? Well, of course it is.
Wait, you said tactical.
Tactical.
So tactical or tactical?
Tactical. It's a tactical folder, and then I have a Smith & Wesson pen I carry. It doesn't shoot. I'm a little disappointed on that, but it's blue. It's okay. And then I have a Pelican flashlight. So
are you playing stabby quartz will chew you up? Yeah, I
we
know.
We don't want to talk about that. We don't want to talk about that because that'll ruin the show. Renee, stop. We're talking. That's Canadian quartz. Canadian quartz.
In Texas, man, only.
Well,
he was on my front lawn and he wouldn't leave.
It was like the second last time I was in Texas. They go, hey, Datu, do you know it's legal to carry a sword on your back now? It is.
It is Texas.
So is that something you want to do? And I said, well, it all depends. Well, what does it depend on? Yeah. Is it still legal to carry firearms? Yeah. Hell no.
Which leads,
Your Honor, he had a sword. He had a pig sticker, so I had to shoot him. Well, bang, bang.
Well, you can get away with that state. Folks, next show, Tuesday. Favorite EDCs. We have a few folks coming on. They're going to show what they like to carry. Brian Canada, he's a knife hound.
I tried to get away. Is that the guy from is that the knife maker in Florida?
No, he's from Georgia.
Okay, then I got somebody else.
Yeah, so Brian Canada.
Who's that FMA blade guy down in there?
In Florida?
Florida.
Who makes
they have that small FMA system that they do.
Huh.
They're at Chad's event. He makes really nice knives, evidently.
Oh, Kayan Cahudo.
Yeah, I reached out to him through his IG and nothing back. Maybe he doesn't like me.
He makes beautiful stuff. I mean,
tried to get a hold of him while I was down there because I figured I'd stop by and see what he had.
No, he makes beautiful. I've seen some of his stuff. It's beautiful.
And maybe he doesn't respond to IG. I don't know, or me.
Yeah, it could be, but he makes. He makes. So there's. So folks, Tuesday night, EDC. So we got Brian Canada, Dan from Pennsylvania, and Archetta from California.
What time is the show?
8 p.m. Tuesday night.
Yeah, I'll probably have to catch the rebroadcast.
Yeah, but it would just be interesting just to see what these guys show, what they carry, and why. You know what I mean?
That's cool.
And there's an obscure Filipino blade at ADC. I mean, we got. But all right, folks, I gotta talk to Datu.
It's not my fault.
The record, but yes, there should be some exciting news coming out next week from me and Datu. So. But anyway, I want to thank all you that watched. I thought these young men did a good job tonight, and I hope they all succeed. And that so
we're stronger together.
Yeah, 100%. So called what's he saying here? Asshole.
A toss a lot.
A toss a lot. So. Oh my God. So this is an obscure Filipino blade that I eat everyday carry. And here we go. Yeah, anytime, Chris. Thanks again, Dean. And thank you. And to you, Datu.
See you soon, Chris.
He's such a breath of fresh air for young man. And we got Coach Sandy saying good night. Yes, folks. All right. Thank you for tuning in. And yeah, join us Tuesday night. Favorite EDC. And then see what other theme episodes I'm going to come up with since I'm got it covered for Tom Pena. So if you folks have ideas, let me know.
That Tom.
All right. Yeah. Okay. All right, guys. We'll see you. Hopefully Tuesday night. All right. Good night, everybody.